What's up guys, Ryan here from Mud Gunner, and today we are going to be talking about the Q Honey Badger and the Sig Rattler. And I've talked about these guns in my previous videos, but I always get asked, what would you pick? Would you pick the Honey Badger or the Rattler? I mean, my answer is right here. I picked both because they're both cool, but we'll get a little bit more in depth with it. And that is my short answer. I bought both. I like them both for different reasons. So as far as which one's the best, I don't necessarily have a great answer for you on that. I'm just going to talk to you guys about some of the options. So as far as like overall sound, 300 Blackout in general is extremely quiet no matter what gun you are running, as long as you are running suppressed with subsonic ammo. I'll show you a quick clip of both of these side by side. And as far as like my overall thoughts on the caliber itself, I really like 300 Blackout as just a suppressed caliber. I do have a couple 300 Blackouts that are not suppressed. I have a Daniel Defense PDW that I haven't shot yet because I want to get a suppressor for it. And then I have a Noveske Gen 4 Shorty, which is a 10-inch barrel. That one I've actually shot, and I've been mainly using it to shoot my supersonic 300 Blackout ammo. And a lot of people say that 300 Blackout is like an anemic round, and I get it, like it's not comparable to 5.56 or a lot of other calibers. But I guess for me and for what a lot of people would replace it for is replacing a subgun setup like an MP5, MPX, stuff like that, because it's quieter and you can still get the setup pretty small while still being effective for what it's meant for, which is honestly CQB or close range targets. But I'll show you a video of me shooting my 10-inch Noveske unsuppressed out to 200 yards real fast. So 50, here's not 300, this is 300 Blackout. Here's 100. Boom. Wow, 3 for 3 at 100 with 300 Blackout. I'm gonna sit down and try to take this 200-yard shot. So 200 yards, 300 Blackout. This is 150 grain ammo. That's hard to see. Let's see. Oh! Did that nick it? Well, I think that was a one-hit wonder. That was a first-round impact at 200 yards with a 10-inch 300 Blackout. So 200 yards, it is doable, but it's not the greatest. This round is going to shine within 100 yards, in my opinion. In that video, I was testing my light setups. I did that video months ago showing off my top 5 favorite light brands, and yeah, we just did it at night. And that was a 10-inch Noveske 300 Blackout, and the light was a Cloud Defensive Owl, which is a great light. So yeah, 300 Blackout does have its limitations, I understand that, but that does not mean it's not a great round. But it's a great round for specific circumstances, which is obviously being very quiet. So I do really like them. The Honey Badger was my very first 300 Blackout. I bought it as a factory SBR suppressed, and it took about 10 months for the tax stamps to clear, and it is a 2-stamp item. So you pay a tax stamp on the gun, you pay a tax stamp on the suppressor. Same thing with the way my Rattler set up. It was a factory SBR, and then I bought a suppressor. I'm gonna go on a quick tangent about suppressors and SBRs because it gets brought up in a lot of my videos, and it's honestly funny, some of the comments. I try not to respond to too many of them because, you know, I know it's the internet, I know it's YouTube, everyone has an opinion, and that's fine. But the comments sometimes, like, I look at them and I'm like, really? And I get a little curious and I'll go look at their pages. So I did a video, I was talking about SBRs versus pistols because it's good information to know at least what the difference is. And this guy from New York, he commented and saying that, you know, anyone that complies is this or that, or, you know, you shouldn't pay a $200 tax stamp. And I go and I look at his channel because I'm like, this guy is not in a free state. I can almost guarantee it. In my head, I was thinking California, but he ended up being New York. And his videos are like, oh, look at this New York compliant gun. So it's like, you're telling me not to comply with NFA laws, but you're complying with your local state laws. So that is what it is. Or I got another one today, this guy that he said on one of my old videos, he said anyone that complies with the NFA is no friend of the 2A community or no friend of the 2A. And I look at his channel, and well, he also commented in saying that anybody that registers a weapons is whatever. But I look at his channel, and again, he's running pistol braces and stuff. So he's saying don't comply, but he's complying, and he's posting about complying. So that's always funny. I mean, you guys, some of you guys, if you're the negative people that comment, you say don't comply, but then I go look at your channel and you're complying. So I'm not telling you guys don't comply. I'm saying I paid $200 tax stamps for this. I mean, it is what it is. I want to own suppressors. I want to own cool guns and, you know, not have the ATF kick down my door and shoot my dogs. So I don't mind the $200 just to be able to do that and to, you know, shoot guns, show you guys cool guns, it's worth it to me. And I will continue to do it until it's not, you know, a thing anymore. And hopefully one day it is. But it's kind of like, you know, those people that haven't bought a suppressor this whole time until this year when the wait times went down. It's like eventually something will get them to change their mind to do it. It's like, oh, if suppressors are $200, but you leave it that same day, they're probably going to do it. So just understand that. Like, if you guys like get shit on for buying tax stamp suppressors, it's okay. We're together. Like, it doesn't bother me that people like are negative about it, because at the end of the day, if they truly don't believe in that, then they can't own something like this. So they might be able to get the gun as a pistol, but then they can't get the suppressor. Or let's say they make their own and don't tell anyone about it. Well, then they can't really do anything with it. And honestly, a home-built suppressor is probably not going to be as reliable or as great as one of these. So that's just my little tangent on, you know, NFA stuff. I get it. It's not for everyone. And unfortunately, if you live in an anti-gun state, I understand you guys, you know, like, obviously the pro 2A gun states are my favorite, but I understand that people can't always leave the state, or they don't want to leave their state for other reasons. So if you just straight up can't own it because your state doesn't allow it, I feel sorry for you guys. Hopefully your laws change soon. But to the people that live in free states but are still like, oh, anybody that buys a suppressor is anti-2A, that's not true. I feel like I've done more for 2A people than most people that comment negatively. Like, I work in a gun store. I arm people every single day. I give them, you know, education, hopefully give you guys a little bit of education. So I am trying to do my part to educate the gun community, and I am pro 2A. I pay a $200 tax stamp. If that makes me anti-2A in your mind, so be it. But yeah, and I'm not like upset about the comments. Again, I think they're kind of funny, but I look at their channel and, you know, they're posting that they're complying with the gun laws, but they're calling me out for saying, oh, you should never support gun laws or, you know, restrictions, whatever. But yeah, going back to the actual topic, if you're gonna do 300 Blackout, at the very least, I understand buying a pistol, right? Like the Rattler and the Honey Badger, you can buy as pistols, and I actually looked up the price. So a Rattler pistol, a Rattler LT, which is the new one, it's a 6.75 inch barrel versus the regular Rattler, which is a 5.5 inch barrel. As far as which one's better, I don't know. Mine is the regular Rattler. It was a factory SBR. I put the cane brake rail on there, which is why it looks like that. A Rattler SBR is $26.99, but they're all out of stock from what I could see. A Rattler LT pistol without a stock or without a brace is the same price. If I had to pick between the two, for Rattler LT versus the regular Rattler, I don't know. I like that the regular Rattler is shorter, but the Rattler LT is supposed to be lighter. How much lighter? I don't know. But I would say probably buy the newer one, the Rattler LT, if you're going to do it. And these are both expensive guns. This is, that's the unfortunate thing, right? Like, you have to pay a $200 tax stamp and they're expensive. But this is just, you know, giving you guys information on if you want to buy them. So the Rattler LT right now, from what I pulled up on Google, $26.99, just the gun. So no brace, no stock, no nothing. I didn't even see a factory SBR LT, but maybe they're out there. For $26.99, and then the Honey Badger, whether you buy the SBR or the pistol, this was on Silencer Shop, they are $28.99. So it's $200 more expensive, but for the Honey Badger, that was for the stock or the brace, either one, where the Rattler did not come with one. And you're gonna spend, I would say, at least $150 on a decent brace or stock, and that's if you're buying like the ones that, you know, fold onto the Picatinny rail in the back here. So I would say they end up being the same price once you brace or once you stock the Rattler. Now, as far as braces or stocks go, I like the Rattler stocks, or the options that you have for the stocks, way more than the Honey Badger, because, I mean, this is the minimalist, so this is not the greatest one on the market. I like the adjustable one, or even the AR buffer tubes are nice, but the whole point of the Rattler was to keep it small. So this is the stock that came with mine, and it's tiny. You don't really have much to work with here, but it works, and the gun is so light recoiling that it doesn't matter. I wouldn't want this on a 308, but on a 300 Blackout with subsonic ammo, it's soft shooting. Now, if you run it unsuppressed with supersonic ammo, this is not going to feel as comfortable. Same thing with the Honey Badger. With supersonic ammo, the stock is less comfortable. So as far as stocks go between the two, I like the Rattler's options more for the stocks. Honey Badger, again, with subsonic ammo, is going to be extremely soft shooting. So for me, I don't mind the stock. Like, it definitely gives you more to put against your shoulder when you're shooting. But I don't like this big opening here. If there was like a metal sleeve that came out with it, like it just was like folded up under there, or like just slid under there and just slid out with it, that'd be kind of cool. And maybe that's innovative that Q can do. But other than that, I mean, it's not bad. You just get used to not having your face on anything. So as far as stocks goes, I like the options that you have for the MCX more. But for the price, they're about the same price once you brace or once you stock the Rattler, because again, this was $200 more. It's $2,900 versus $27, but it comes with the stock or with the brace. So as far as pistol versus SBR, that's going to be up to you because that's another $200. But I'm going to talk to you guys about the option that I did. So I bought the Honey Badger SD. Now mine I bought back in 2018, and they've changed some stuff internally on them since 2018. So when I bought mine, it came with an AR Gold trigger, which I really like. I've liked this trigger out of all 3 triggers that they put on the Honey Badger, because they went from the AR Gold to the Geisley, and now they have their own branded trigger, Q does. It's called literally the best trigger ever made, and when I look at it, it kind of looks like an AR Gold trigger. So I've played around with it. It seems like a nice trigger. So out of the box, the Honey Badger has a better trigger than the Rattler. The Rattler has a nice 2-stage trigger. If I had to guess, it's about 5-ish pounds. I don't know the exact trigger pull weight, but mine's stock. It's a good enough trigger. It's not lighter than the Honey Badger though. Safety selector, Honey Badger has the Radian safety selector. I like that more than the Rattler. Now the Rattler is an ambi safety selector, and it's a 90 degree. The Honey Badger is a 70 degree. I don't think it matters that much, but I just like Radian a little bit more. Charging handle, the Honey Badger used to ship with the large latch Radian Raptor charging handle. I like that one way more. Now it ships with the small latch. I like the big latch way more on everything. So I even put the Radian Raptor on the Rattler. The factory Sig Rattler charging handle is pretty small, so I don't like it. This one I think is like $90-ish, 90 to 100, because it's an MCX specific one. This one does just take standard charging handles, as far as I know. But yeah, bolt carrier group, I've seen it in the Sugar Weasel at least, but I haven't seen a really up-to-date Honey Badger in person. They changed the bolt carrier groups in a lot of their guns, where it's like a 2-piece bolt carrier group on the back end of the receiver, or on the back end of the bolt carrier group. I don't know what all that's about, so I haven't looked into that. But yeah, I think they did it to the Honey Badgers too. I could be mistaken, but my bolt carrier group looks like a standard AR-15 bolt carrier group, but people are telling me that the new ones are different. And I've seen it in the Sugar Weasel. I just we haven't gotten a Honey Badger in recently. So yeah, trigger wise, I like basically trigger, safety selector, and charging handle. I like more on the Honey Badger than the Rattler. Weight wise, I'll just talk about it real fast. The weight of this Honey Badger, the way it's set up, is 7 pounds. That is RMR, mount, Steiner D-Ball I2, Surefire Vampire Light, suppressor, sling. This whole setup weighs 7 pounds on the dot according to my scale. And mine is just like a normal scale. It's not like anything specific for small things. So 7 pounds, where this one weighs 8.2 pounds. And that is with a Q half Nelson suppressor, so the lightest suppressor you're really gonna put in there. Surefire Light, an EOTech, and the sling. And then night armament sights. This one doesn't have iron sights. EOTech weighs a lot, but still 8.2 pounds versus 7 pounds. And it's all like really front heavy. Like this gun just nosedives. It's very front heavy, where this one feels a lot more balanced. It's still front heavy, but it definitely feels more balanced. So yeah, I mean, as far as that goes down, if it's between a Honey Badger pistol and a Rattler pistol, I think my overall take is probably the Honey Badger, but we'll still talk about some more of the differences. So between the pistol and the SBR, if you were going to just do that, I would probably just buy the pistol and then suppress the pistol. And then if you buy any of the Q suppressors like the Trash Panda or the Thunder Chicken, I mean, they're like $900-ish, maybe more right now, 900 to 1,000. But again, if you can justify it, I would buy the SD, because if you break it down, I mean, paying $3,400 versus $2,900, you're paying $500 for the suppressor, and you can't buy their suppressor for $500 bucks. So to me, that's worth it in itself, because if you're going to buy either of these guns, you're going to buy them to suppress them. So if you can justify it all at once, I would buy the SD. Now, if you just want to buy a pistol, or you can only buy a pistol, then you know the Honey Badger pistol for $2,900 bucks is not bad. But then I would still recommend suppressing it. If you're not suppressing it and you can't suppress it, I would probably steer you towards a 5.56. I mean, I would steer you towards the 5.56 Sugar Weasel, like maybe the 13-inch or the 16-inch. I know they're doing a Honey Badger 10-inch here soon, so that one would be a cool one. Or I haven't seen if it's actually out yet, but a 10-inch Honey Badger and 5.56 would be cool. And then if you can not suppress the Rattler, then I would probably steer you towards like an MCX Spear or a Virtus if you can find one, because that's what this is. And I'll talk about this in a sec, because I wanted to talk about the suppressor. But yeah, if you can't suppress them, I would steer you towards the 5.56 versions of them. But if you're going to suppress them, I like Q cans for both of them, so I'll talk about that real fast. So my Sig Rattler, again, it started out as a factory SBR, did not have this cane brake rail. But when I put the Sig factory suppressor on here, this is a SRD 762 quick detach. The issue I have is, one, the suppressor gets stuck on there, and two, to get the suppressor off, I had to remove this mount for my light pressure pad, remove the handguard, and then detach the suppressor from near the barrel. So to get the suppressor off, you had to take the whole front end apart, which was annoying. And that suppressor gets stuck. So I just was like, you know what? I'm just going to dedicate it to my 5.56 Virtus here. It is a 7.62 can, but it's just going to stay on this 5.56. And then I bought this Q half Nelson, and what's nice about this is I don't have to take anything off to take the suppressor off. I just unscrew it, and it'll just pop out. And it's a tapered barrel and a tapered suppressor, so there's no muzzle device on there. It just direct threads, and I've never not been able to get it off. These direct thread suppressors from Q are amazing, specifically on tapered barrels. I have no experience with them on non-tapered. And what a taper means is, normally on a barrel you have like a 90-degree shoulder and then your threads. A taper is when it kind of goes like this, like just like a slight slant around it, and then it's your threads, and the suppressor seals to that. And I hope you like my diagram there. And then the Honey Badger, same thing. There's no muzzle device on here. It's just screwed on. It'll never, or it has never backed off. I don't believe it'll ever back off while you're shooting it, because it just stays tight while you're shooting. But it's always easy to take off, and I've loved that about my Honey Badger and now the Rattler. The previous can, I didn't like that. So if you do the Rattler, whether you do either one of them, I really recommend doing a Q suppressor, because I mean, they were built to run 300 Blackout suppressed. So very quiet. I'll show you another clip of me shooting them side by side. Ooh, the Rattler is pretty freaking quiet. So yeah, they're extremely quiet. Now, which one's quieter? It's really hard to say because they sound different. This one, again, kind of works off of a standard AR-15 bolt carrier group, so it's traveling further back. I mean, it's a short buffer tube here, so your buffer is like nothing. It's very tiny, but it is traveling, a bigger bolt carrier group is traveling further back, where this one is kind of like a half bolt carrier group, because you don't have a buffer tube. This gun will cycle with the stock off or folded or whatever. You have like a half bolt carrier group that just kind of goes back, and then the spring is up here, where on the Honey Badger your spring is still behind it. And it just makes for a different sound. They are both extremely quiet, but it definitely makes a different sound than that one. So it sounds interesting. Either way, I think if you have this gun suppressed or that gun suppressed, and nobody else has a 300 Blackout at the range, you are going to be the quietest one at the range, as long as you have suppressed and subsonic ammo. Now, where the Rattler, I think, shines is it feels like a more solid gun. Like the rail, everything, it's built like a tank, where the Honey Badger is built very lightweight. This stock, I could see if you did something wrong, you're gonna break this stock. Like, I mean, this part is kind of like a type of plastic or synthetic. This piece is plastic. These rails are like a type of aluminum, I think. But I mean, I think if you did something wrong, or you landed on this or did something, you're gonna mess up this stock. Where this, I mean, you could definitely mess up this stock too, but it feels way more solid. So I think the Rattler feels like a more solid gun. The rail feels more solid just because everything is thicker, but that doesn't necessarily translate to it being a better gun, because are you really gonna destroy it? So yeah, I don't know. And then this one's piston driven versus DI. Does that make it better? I don't know. Piston guns are normally great on 5.56 because you can reduce the gas when you're running a suppressed. But with this, with subsonic, I normally run it in the lower gas setting anyways. And I ran it in the higher gas setting, and it doesn't feel any different. I don't really notice the difference between shooting this on the lower gas setting or the higher gas setting. You would definitely want it in the lower gas setting for running supers through it, but yeah, I don't know if the piston system makes it better. And this is an adjustable gas block, but I've never touched it since I got it from the factory. So how it came from the factory is exactly how I've left it, and it's never come undone. So as far as their settings go, I think it's a wash at that point. I don't think any system is better than the other than, you know, this one can get shorter on the back end. That one cannot get any shorter unless you put a law folder on there and then a standard buffer tube, which would be a waste on this. You might as well do a sugar weasel. So yeah, operating systems, I don't think there's really any difference. But yeah, the Rattler does get smaller, so there is that. And it gets way smaller if you're not suppressing it. But again, suppressing wise, I recommend suppressing it. So you see the Rattler is much smaller. So if you're looking for a dedicated bag gun, I like the Rattler for that. It is heavier, so 1.2 pounds heavier than this, and that's not including a magazine. A magazine's gonna add like another 1.5 pounds for subsonic 300 Blackout. So yeah, I mean, again, it comes down to I like them both. I bought them both. If you only had to pick one, I would say if overall cost is a factor, the Honey Badger is still the cheaper way to go at $3,400 because you buy this for, let's say it's $2,700. Then you buy a $200 bracer stock, and then you buy an $800-ish suppressor. I know there's cheaper ones, but let's say you buy an $800 suppressor. I mean, it's still like a $4,000 base gun suppressed without your accessories, where this is at least a $3,400 base gun. Well, I guess I can't even say $3,400 because you paid $200 tax stamp. So let's say it's $3,400 plus the 2 tax stamps, so $3,800. Or let's say you buy this as a pistol, but you still have to buy a bracer or stock. So that's $2,900 plus the suppressor, let's say $800, or let's say $1,000 because of the $200 tax stamp. So then you're at $39 versus $38, and then this is heavier. So as far as price goes, if you're running that as a 2-stamp item, it's about $38. If you're running this as a 1-stamp item, it's about $39, and that's assuming you spend $1,000 on the suppressor with the tax stamp, and then $2,700, well, $2,900 on the gun with the brace, and that's not including tax. So price-wise, I don't once you're at like $4 grand for a suppressed setup, I don't think it really matters. I think it comes down to what you want more. And then as far as decibels go, they're very similar. They're too close to really say one's that much better than the other. I don't have a decibel reader yet, but I would like to get a decibel reader. So size, smaller, lighter. This is where it gets tough, guys. Like, people ask me what I think. I think I like the Honey Badger more, just because it feels nicer to shoot because it's lighter. The trigger's better. Looks wise, I think it looks cooler. I like how mine looks. And yeah, I know some people don't like Sig. I know some people don't like Q. I don't really have any issues with either one, although Sig, in the long run, they've had more issues with more of their guns than I feel like Q has. So Sig likes testing their guns on the consumers. It is tough. I'm just giving you guys my honest thoughts on them both. Again, I like them both, but if I had to only pick one, I would choose the Honey Badger, is my final take. Now, if I'm going, let's say I want a small bag gun, I'm going to choose my Sig because I have the Sig. But if you only had to pick one, I would choose the Honey Badger, because you can get away with a bigger bag and at least it'll be a pound lighter. So yeah, that's my thoughts. I hope it helps a little bit. I know it sounds a little indecisive, but I'm just trying to give you the pros and cons of both of them. I feel like there are more pros with the Honey Badger than there are the Sig. So other pros of the Sig is you can change, barrels and whatever, but then at that point you might as well just buy a whole new upper, and that's where that Virtus comes into play. But yeah, either way, if you're trying to suppress 300 Blackout, I have been a big fan of my Q suppressor so far. I only have 2 right now. I have this Honey Badger can and the Half Nelson can, and this is direct thread. They discontinued it. So now if you're going to suppress either one, let's say you buy a pistol on either one or a SBR, but you don't buy the ESD, I would say buy the Trash Panda or the Thunder Chicken. The Thunder Chicken is bigger, but honestly, if you're running the right ammo, they're both going to be quiet. So I would keep it a little bit shorter if I had to choose. So I would do either gun with the Trash Panda if you're trying to suppress them. And then, yeah, if you can find a Half Nelson, I do like the Half Nelson. But again, this is direct thread, and for whatever reason, they discontinued it. So this one does not require a muzzle device. If you buy the Trash Panda, it will require a muzzle device. But I believe they are the same size. So I believe the Trash Panda is about the same size as this Half Nelson. And then the Honey Badger can is not proprietary. It's the only way to get it is if you buy the SD. So a lot of people tell me, oh, that's not the Honey Badger can, that's the Trash Panda, or that's the Thunder Chicken. No, this suppressor is stamped Honey Badger on it. It's the only way to get the suppressor. So that's another cool thing. If you buy the SD, you're in the cool kids club because you have the Honey Badger suppressor. They don't sell this can. It is stamped Honey Badger. It is not stamped anything else. So it's longer, but it's thinner, and it's the only suppressor as of right now that they sell that fits under that rail. If you buy the SBR or the pistol, they do not make a suppressor that fits under their 12-inch rail. I think, yeah, that's 12. So that's another thing. If you buy the SD, you have the longer rail with the only can that's going to fit under it from Q. And weight-wise, I feel like the Half Nelson weighs more, but I mean, it's going to feel different in each hand, so it feels like someone else is doing it. Yeah. I would say they feel too close to really tell. I mean, I could throw this in here and it'll be a tiny little can, but yeah, I would say buy the Trash Panda if you just buy either one, because, and this is not the Trash Panda, but it'll be about the same size as this. And I really want the Trash Panda too. On that Noveski that I have, it has a Q Cherry Bomb muzzle brake on there, and I'm actually buying a Thunder Chicken for it. So the Thunder Chicken is the bigger one, but I would like to own the Trash Panda at some point too. So I would honestly put a Q suppressor on every 300 Blackout I own, because it's extremely quiet and they're lightweight. Like, these are fully welded. Yeah, I have no issues mounting whatsoever. So they just screw right on, and it makes it for very ease of taking on and off. It's set up for a socket on the front if it ever got stuck on there, but mine has never gotten stuck. So yeah, I think I'll leave you guys with that, because I know I've been talking a long time, but I like them both. I know they're expensive, and I'm sorry that they're expensive. I have no way to help you guys with that, but I do like them, and I think you'll be happy with either one you get. So thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned for my next video. Come on, there we go. Boom. Suppressed.